Bart's mind is all about food, chocolate, everything. Lisa's all about protesting the cutting and deforestation of the trees. And that's one level you have to get through and destroy all the trees and everything. You destroy all the loggers. In a way, when you punch and everything, there's no blood. The enemies just disappear. A lot like Lego Indiana Jones, once again. I can't help but think about this game when I play this now. I mean, in a way, it's so much like that. The way you have to navigate through and the way you can switch between each character. Yeah, it's a lot like it. And in a way that you have to help a character get to one side when they can't. And also when you have to both step on something to open one thing up, like a booby trap. Yeah, it's a lot like that. And with Marge, you have to protest the video game, so obviously it goes against Bart's will to buy the game. The cutscenes and parodies are hilarious. I mean, it's anything that any diehard Simpsons fan would really enjoy and find to be funny as hell. And hell, you even get the aliens back in this game. Cool. Of course, you gotta kick their ass, which can be pretty tricky. Hell, there's even boss fights in this game, like the Lard Lad Donut statue. Remember from the Simpsons Halloween special? It's programmed by the aliens, like I mentioned before. You even got the whale that's programmed or hypnotized by the aliens. Yeah, it's pretty easy once you figure it out. You pick up the jellyfish, you electrocute it with the eel tank, and there you go. Pretty easy. Then there's this one part that looks like a movie theater entrance, or 5 of them. And yeah, they all make fun of a video game. Like Gauntlet, Pokemon, Medal of Honor. Yeah, first mission you're collecting flags that are surrendered by the French. Then the second part you're defending a military vehicle that has Grandpa Simpson in it by destroying the tanks with a slingshot. But one question though. Could a slingshot really take out an army tank? Interesting, right? But even if you keep firing at it, could it still take out a whole entire army tank that's able to take out a freaking vehicle? I mean, I know this game is far-fetched and everything, but come on. And Grand Theft Auto with, you guessed it, Grand Theft Scratchy. You play as Marge and Lisa, you're rounding up a bunch of dogs to destroy the cats and mice of the cartoon, and turning every slum house into a nice place. And hell, the game even pokes fun at the writer, Matt Groening, where you have to actually try to destroy him, but he gets away. There's a lot of other boss battles, especially in the video game world, like the two-headed Patty and Selma. Yeah, you use Homer to roll into them, then Marge gets the kids and beats the crap out of them, which is pretty funny actually, I have to admit. And speaking of Marge, yeah, her powers consist of the megaphone, which is her main primary weapon. She calls on a huge mob and protests against the Grand Theft Scratchy game, which of course goes against Bart's will. So, your objective is to, gather up an angry mob, make it as big as you can, and destroy anything that has to do with Grand Theft Scratchy. Floats, signs, anything. And of course, you also got to deal with the security guards or any fans that are crazy about this game. And then there's this one mission, and are you ready for a spoiler? It actually pokes fun at God, too. Wow, really crazy. But yeah, you have to build a stairway to heaven with the power of Lisa's mighty Buddha hand. With every single building in Springfield, a baseball stadium, everything. And it even manages to poke fun at the song too by Led Zeppelin. Funny. But yeah, you go up to heaven, and you have another array of boss fights. William Shakespeare, kind of annoying, but once you figure him out, he's pretty easy. And then later on into the level, before you get to God's house, you gotta fight Ben Franklin. Funny, because he has the electric key. Not a really hard boss battle, it just gets really annoying when he multiplies into smaller Ben Franklins and more than one of them. Sort of like a Fantasia reference, remember? Not too hard. Trick is just play as Bart Simpson and stay on the roof of the building and try to slingshot him. Yeah, you just keep hitting him, and eventually, he'll be dead. And that's your key to the last level. And this is the part where it pokes fun at Dance Dance Revolution, and I have to say, it's one of the most annoying and frustrating parts of the game. That is, if you're playing it on the Xbox 360. The problem is, unlike the PS2, where the D-pad is much easier to use, this one, on the 360, it's a real pain in the ass, because you can end up slipping and pressing the wrong button, because of course you're limited to how many errors you can make, so you can end up slipping and pressing the wrong arrow key. It's obviously a parody, like I said, of Dance Dance Revolution. It plays the song Rock You Like a Hurricane, and it gets harder and harder. So that's just great. Not only do the controls kind of suck, and it's frustrating to do, yeah, try doing it at a faster pace. It's sort of like playing Mario Brothers with a broken controller. I don't mean to nitpick and everything, but yeah, this can get really annoying. But thank God it's the last mission, and thank God, wow, I said thank God. Funny, right? Yeah, there's only 3 waves, just like most of the other mini games in this. The cutscenes are also pretty good too. It looks a lot like the TV show. It shows off some really impressive animation compared to the PS2 version. It's a big step in a better direction. Even at the end screen, it pretty much sums up of how much everything can poke fun at itself. It shows that God created a game called Earth, and some things are poking fun and other things, and it gets really crazy with the parodies. And even Ralph at the end acts crazy and even points at the screen and says, wow, somebody's watching me.
Daddy, someone's looking at me.
Well, that sums up how crazy this game can get. I could tell right off the bat the Simpsons games had a really bright future ahead of them. And these 3 games have to be amongst the best. I mean, after this, there was no other Simpsons game. It's a shame there was no more, and this game was actually released in 2007. The same year that the movie came out, and I was like, yeah, is there going to be a game based off the movie? I actually thought at one point this game was based off the movie, because like I said, it was released in the same year, 2007. So with these 3 games that actually got it right, I figured, hey, let's keep going. I mean, they corrected all the mistakes from the past with the crappy 80s and 90s versions from the old school consoles. Why don't they keep going? I mean, there's plenty other material to work with out there, going on an airplane or something. Obviously, they utilized some other games and it didn't work, like with The Simpsons skateboarding and wrestling, but with these 3 games, you can't go wrong, really. So overall, this game is actually pretty enjoyable. Compared to the old school games, I can't really complain. But overall, out of all these 3 games, I still prefer Hit and Run. Because I don't know, I still prefer having a challenge, despite the frustration and aggravation that I mentioned before. But this game, it's more of a laid-back type Simpsons game, but it's still pretty fun and still filled with a lot of parodies and pop culture references. It's a really fun game, despite a few minor quirks and glitches, but I'd still give this one a shot. For any Simpsons fan, it's worth checking out for sure. And it deserves a rockin' 2-Wii remote up. So, until next time, thus concludes the series of Simpsons game reviews. Yep, I would say these 3 stand out once again as amongst the best Simpsons games ever. And I would definitely check them out, so let's hope there's another Simpsons games on the way. But as for Simpsons skateboarding, just stay away. Stay away and never touch this one. Let it die. Welcome to hell! Happy gaming.